We begin with President Trump signaling new pessimism over a peace deal with Iran. Speaking with reporters from the airport at Palm Beach Saturday night, he talked about the process he's going through to understand what the Iranian leadership wants. NewsNation's Robert Sherman, he's live in Tel Aviv, and he's been following the Iranian regime for quite some time. Good morning from New York, Robert. Talk about this process and what his thinking is, our president's thinking is at this time.
Yeah, hey there, Hena. Well, in recent days, you've heard the president express more and more doubts over Iran's ability to strike a deal, saying before he left the White House on Friday that he wasn't certain if Iran was ever going to get there, acknowledging that there are differing factions within the Iranian leadership. And in terms of what he has been saying overnight here, not certain that Iran is able to put together a deal that is going to be satisfactory to the United States, especially on that nuclear issue, which he has said is a non-starter. But the president was asked point blank about the alternatives. Does that mean that we could see renewed military action here in the region? Here's what he said to that.
Under what circumstances would you please start military strikes on targets?
Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, I can't tell that to a reporter. If they misbehave, if they do something bad, but right now, we'll see. But, you know, it's a possibility that could happen, certainly.
You said we might be better off not making a deal with Iran.
Well, I wouldn't have to. I didn't say that. I said that if we left right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild. But we're not leaving right now. We're going to do it so nobody has to go back in 2 years or 5 years.
As the status quo stands, you have the U.S. naval blockade, which is applying that constant economic pressure to Iran, in which 48 ships have already been turned around from going in or out of Iranian ports, according to Central Command. You've also seen some ships being boarded, both here in the region as well as in the Indo-Pacific. And in recent days, Iran has come out more and more critical of this maneuvering. Their foreign ministry spokesperson saying this, quote, "The president of the United States has openly described the unlawful seizure of Iranian vessels as piracy, brazenly boasting that we act like pirates. This was no verbal slip. It was a direct and damning admission of the criminal nature of their actions against international maritime navigation. The international community, UN member states, and the UN Secretary General must firmly reject any normalization of such blatant violations of international law." So both Tehran and Washington are posturing, standing tall on their current positions, but say if this all falls apart, they're ready to resume the fighting at a moment's notice. That goes for Iran, that goes for the United States and Israel as well. Hena?
Thank you for that, Robert. Let's take a broader look at what's going on with foreign policy. Trump also discussed the partial U.S. troop withdrawal in Germany. I've said this all weekend long. We have a huge military presence in Germany. What's the latest?
Yeah, I mean, that is a decision that the president has been talking about over the last couple of days. He's been particularly critical of Chancellor Merz of Germany for making comments such as saying the United States was being humiliated by Iran. The president clearly took exception to that. But also, more broadly speaking, has been very frustrated with NATO allies for not contributing more when it's come to the situation here in the Middle East. He's also had choice words for Spain and Italy as well. I would say that the decision to pull troops out, there's a more broad strategy that the Pentagon has articulated as you look at troop disbursements around Europe. The Pentagon has been saying for over a year now that their goal is to downsize military presence in Europe, focus more intently on the Western Hemisphere and the Indo-Pacific, as well as troops that are in the Middle East in particular, believing that Europe should be more responsible for its own backyard. So this is part of the strategy that the president has talked about since he retook office. But certainly, you've heard it from German leadership that they're preparing for the likelihood that they'll have to come to terms with not having the United States as much in their own backyard. Hena?
And of course, the economic factors outside that base, where so many Germans rely on that U.S. military base. Robert Sherman, thank you so much for the update. I'll check in with you in the next hour, my friend.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.